Slipbot means short Betty. In society, I tend to have two personas. One is Elspeth Keyfe of Neddingham, who is an Italian Renaissance noblewoman, and the other is Slipbot, the Viking persona. I kind of developed both of them for specific reasons. One was my primary. The Italian Renaissance is my primary persona, but we have a run of kings and queens who chose very early personas, and in order to fit in with the theme of their reign, they have frequently requested, demand, but they request, if anyone wants to wear this particular period, feel free to adopt it, the period of our reign. So then I started making chainmail and wire weaving, and it seemed a lot more practical and a lot more logical that my Viking persona would be making the jewelry, the chainmail, and the wire weaving, because being an Italian Renaissance noblewoman, I really wouldn't get my hands dirty with that sort of thing. And I'd be sitting, I'd probably be doing my persona is roughly in her mid-30s. I lie a lot. At her age, she would probably be a wife and mother and probably be a grandmother. She would be teaching her children and grandchildren dance, music, the more domestic arts, embroidery, probably weaving and spinning, but mostly they spent a lot of their time in the Italian Renaissance working on things for the church, like altar cloths and tapestries with a religious theme. And so at my advanced age in my persona, I would probably be weaving tapestries for the church, or perhaps even going into one of the more progressive Italian nunneries, which in its day, the Italian nunneries were not necessarily, they were convents, but they weren't necessarily designed for people who were absolutely dedicated to God. They were filled with artistic young women who would devote their energies and their talents to making things for the church, or young women who had refused their marriage arrangement or had been caught in the act of refusing their marriage arrangement, and older women who may have been widowed. But it was a very artistically rich and creative environment, not exactly the kind of convent situation we think of today. So my SCA persona of the very proper Italian Renaissance woman would be wearing, next to her body, a white chemise of very fine linen. This is actually handkerchief linen. It kind of falls about just off the shoulder, long sleeve, down to the ankles. And that's the first of many layers. That's that part we call the chemise. The second part, and you can tell I just pulled and pulled me out of my car just now, because I live with this stuff in my car. This is a garment which goes over the chemise. And this is called a cotta, C-O-T-T-A. It kind of means a coat. It has what we call tie-dye sleeves. The sleeves were frequently not part of the full garment. They were highly ornamental, and they were often considered part of a woman's dowry. They were often considered jewelry. They were frequently not listed in her garments in her inventory, but in her jewelry. So we have this piece of garment, and I'll just kind of put this together for you. The sleeves were tied on because they were, although they were frequently made of the same materials as the dress was, they were so, in some cases, so intensely ornate that they couldn't be washed. So they would be like detached and hung out and like aired out and brushed clean or sponged down. But they wouldn't necessarily, okay, this arm goes over here then. They wouldn't necessarily be worn. They were detachable, so you could have separates. You could have different sleeves for different, on the same basic coat. So, another aspect of the Italian Renaissance was conspicuous consumption. And the conspicuous consumption was she would wear her riches on her sleeves. The pearls were embroidered on. There was sometimes gold bullion. And the Italian craftsmen of the period, I know there's another sleeve here. We know this, don't we? The Italian craftsmen of the period took great pride in the detail of their craftsmanship. And what they frequently did is, as you can see, these ends are little metallic pieces from craft shops. But they would be hammered, they would be engraved and hammered and formed silver. And the little tips that we have here are actually what ultimately became the ends of your shoelaces. The aglet, and that's what this is called, an aglet. So, sleeves would show through in big puffs, which loses a little bit in the translation of not being on me, but this would be so far. And then, over that, we would have this particular garment is called the veste, or vest. It's open down the front that shows off the lavish underdress. And I will touch all of this on that. It's sleeveless. And this, of course, has a belt, which in my case, again, would be highly ornate because I'm wealthy and need to show off all of my riches.